Today we're making cream of mushroom soup, only we're using three kinds of mushrooms. We're going to start out with one onion, two stalks of celery, one carrot, peeled and trimmed. First we're going to take our onion and we're just going to quarter it. And we're going to food process this. Here we have our onion and it's finely chopped in the food processor. We're going to do the same with the celery and the carrot. Here's our two stalks of celery food processed. Here we have our carrot all food processed. So here we have our onions, our celery, and our carrots all ground fine in the food processor. Now we're going to take a half a stick of butter and we're going to place that into a pot. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add our onions. And we're going to do what's called sweating. Sweating can be done two different ways. You can sweat by it being covered, or you can sweat it on medium to low till your onions cook and become opaque. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to cook these onions down till they get nice and tender, but not brown and caramelized. Here we have our onions. They've been cooking about 5 minutes, and they're starting to get nice and creamy and cooked. Now we're going to add our celery to that. Then we're going to cook that about another 5 minutes till these get nice and tender. You can cover them if you like. They do cook a little quicker. It's totally up to you. So our celery's been cooking about 5 minutes. Now we're going to add our carrot to that. Reason why we're cooking them all separate is because we're trying to extract the most flavor we can out of each vegetable. If you sweat them all together, you won't get that nice blend of flavors. So we're going to cook this about another 5 minutes. Now our mixture has been cooking. We're going to add a half a tablespoon of poultry seasoning. We're going to stir that in. We're going to turn the fire off. We're just going to let that sit for a few minutes. Now we're going to make our cream soup. Now we're going to add 1 quart of whole milk to our pot, and we're going to bring that to a boil. And then we're going to thicken it. While we're waiting for our milk to boil, we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of flour, 1.5 cups of water. We're going to stir this flour mixture all together till it's nice and smooth like a pancake batter. So we mixed our 1.5 cups of water to our 3/4 cup flour, and we're just mixing that all up till it's nice and incorporated while our milk is starting to boil. Here we have our milk boiling. It's just about ready to boil over. And now we're going to add our whitewash to this. And we're going to stir that all in. You're going to leave it for just a second so that flour starts to activate. And then you're going to stir it for about a minute or two. And you'll see this will start to thicken up real nicely. We're going to cook that for about a minute or two. It's still on high, and we're going to constantly stir it. So here we have our cream sauce. It's nice and thick. We're going to turn that off, and we're going to add 2 tablespoons of chicken bouillon, chicken base. And we're going to stir that in. Once we added our chicken base to this, we're going to take our vegetables and we're going to add all those into there. We're going to turn this on low, and we're going to stir it all in. And keep it on very low, and we're going to stir it as we're cooking, as we're preparing our other ingredients. So now we're going to transfer this whole mixture into a bigger pot. And now for the best part, our mushrooms. Today we're using some white mushrooms, a 6-ounce package. We're using shiitake mushrooms, about a 5-ounce package. And we're using some baby bellas. And that one is an 8-ounce package. What we're going to do is we're going to reserve just a little bit of each one of these to put it in the soup when it's finished. So what we're going to do with each of these mushrooms is we're going to food process them just like we did the vegetables. We're going to process all three together. It doesn't matter. Here we have our mushrooms all food processed. We saved a little bit and reserved them for when the mushroom soup is done. Now we're going to take these and we're going to cook them in a half a stick of butter. Here we have a half a stick of butter. And we're going to add 1 clove of garlic to this, and we're going to start cooking our mushrooms. Here we have our butter melting. We're going to add our 1 clove of garlic to that. And stir that around. And you're going to add your mushrooms to that. So here we have our mushrooms that we ground up. And we want to cook this till they start to stick to the pan. And the reason for that is by grinding up the mushrooms like this, you're extracting the most flavor out of the mushrooms. So here you can see the mushrooms are starting to stick to the pan, and we're going to add that to our cream soup. After we mixed all that in, we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper to it. We're going to add 1 slice of American cheese. We're going to add 2 cups of heavy cream. And we're just going to bring this up to a simmer. So in our pan that we cooked our mushrooms in, we're going to take the rest of our mushrooms that I sliced up, and we're going to add that into the pan, and we're going to cook them, but not brown. We're just going to cook them lightly. These are what we're going to use to finish our soup with. This time we're going to add a little bit of salt. Here we have our mushrooms sauteing up slowly. We're going to add those to our mushroom soup and reserve just a little bit to top off on our bowl of soup. Here we have our soup, and we're going to top them off with just a few little mushrooms on top. The rest of them we're going to add into the rest of the soup. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe. Thank you.